Jadarian Price is the number 2 running back for just about everybody, but a big combine performance could change his fantasy value in a monster way. We'll tell you why next.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us the number 1 sports podcast network. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is the Fantasy Football Hall of Famer, Michael Fabiano. And on today's show, we're talking about Jadarian Price, the other running back from Notre Dame, who is widely expected to be the second running back drafted in this upcoming class. The NFL Combine getting started on Thursday. The running backs don't participate until Saturday, but Fabs, what could a big Combine performance do for Price in his fantasy value?
Well, I mean, certainly put him on the radar, move him up a little bit. You know, we're always looking for running backs in the draft. Now it's kind of like shifted a little bit towards wide receivers, but anytime a running back, no matter where he may be drafted or how highly touted or not he is considered a prospect, if he lands in the right spot, we like him. I mean, right? I mean, like at the end of the day, that's what happens. If Jadarian Price goes to, I don't know, Houston, we're going to like him a lot more than if he lands with a team that's already got like an established veteran incumbent, just like we saw with Travion Henderson last year and Ramondre Stevenson. That did not work out well for the rookie. But Price is interesting to me. I watched a little bit of his YouTube stuff. Fun player to watch. His numbers don't really like pop off the page because he was playing behind the number 1 running back prospect in this class. And of course, Jeremiah Love. He certainly could benefit from having a strong combine. He's a guy he's a dynamic playmaker, really explosive type of speed. And he also, don't underestimate this, very good on special teams as a return man. And if you're in a league like I am, where return yards and touchdowns are rewarded to the players as they should be in every fantasy league, then you're even looking a little harder at Jadarian Price. And so I know that you've said that, was it Daniel Jeremiah that had him sneaking into round 1? Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's going that high, but he's definitely a round 2 pick, a day 2 pick. And if he ends up in the right situation, which is so vital among running backs, and if you didn't know that last year, you learned your lesson, he could end up being a pretty valuable asset right out of the gate in year 1.
Yeah, and we should mention that there are running backs that can really increase their value at the NFL Combine. I think the perfect example of this is Quinshon Judkins from last year.
Right.
Well, listen,
we've been working together for so long. That's exactly the name I had in my head.
One of the things that I like to do is I keep a track of the consensus big boards where you take all the top forecasters and I put them together in a spreadsheet and I have them staggered by like times of year. So I'm looking at the week of the NFL Combine rankings last year, and Quinshon Judkins was like being ranked around the 70th overall player behind Travion Henderson, behind Caleb Johnson, behind Dylan Sampson, who actually the Cleveland Browns drafted. And Judkins went out and had a huge combine. He ran a 4.48 at 220 pounds. He was awesome in the jumps. Mm-hmm. And then by the time April rolled around, he ended up being the 3rd running back off the board. He jumped Travion Henderson, who a lot of people thought would have been a first-round pick. Price is already being viewed as that, early second-round pick. But if he has a monster combine, maybe we are thinking about him in a different light, and we're thinking about him as, somebody that's on tier or on par with the running backs we saw last year, like Judkins and Henderson and Omarion Hampton.
Yeah. Again, I think Price's, value TBD. It really depends on where he ends up. And there are some teams out there that have vacancies in their backfield or potential openings as a 1A running back in a committee where Price would be really interesting from both a dynasty and redraft perspective.
Yeah, and there are a lot of teams that are going to need running backs. We'll tell you some of our favorite landing spots for Price next.
Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the time that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. And when you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about it, Indeed, on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs.
This episode is brought to you by Home Chef. As the new year gets going, a lot of people are trying to simplify their routines, and dinner is always a big one. Between busy work days, cold winter nights, and packed schedules, having an easy and reliable dinner plan makes a huge difference. And that's where Home Chef comes in. Home Chef takes the stress out of cooking by delivering fresh, pre-portioned ingredients right to your door with easy to follow recipes that actually taste great. They're rated #1 by users of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. And it's easy to see why. Meals come ready to fit your schedule, 30-minute recipes, oven-ready trays, or quick lunches. And for a limited time only, Home Chef is offering our listeners 50% off your first box with free shipping and free dessert for life. Just go to homechef.com/lockedon. That's homechef.com/lockedon for 50% off your first box with free shipping and free dessert for life. And you must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Have you ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. And here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win a trip to the NBA Finals for two. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which teams can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock in. I love that we're past the All-Star break now. The teams are really starting to separate themselves from one another. Go bet on who you think is going to win the divisions, the conferences, and then, of course, the NBA Finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started and use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We're discussing Jadarian Price, the Notre Dame running back. Fabs, where do you think he could land, and where would you like to see him land, assuming he has a strong combine performance?
Yeah, so I'm looking towards like the back end of the draft board right now. And one thing about Price is that at Notre Dame, he wasn't much of a pass catcher. Okay.
Jeremiah Love that did most of that work. Yep.
Exactly. Doesn't mean that he can't develop into a good pass catcher, but he didn't really do much of that at Notre Dame. If I'm looking long-term, San Francisco at 27, if he has a sensational combine to be the heir apparent to Christian McCaffrey, that could be interesting. Again, two different types of players, but still that could be interesting. Houston jumps out.
Yeah.
As a landing spot for Price. We've heard now that Joe Mixon had another offseason surgery. And my guess is that he ain't going to be back. And he definitely ain't going to be back in Houston. So they're going to be looking for running back help. And, Woody Marks was okay last season, but he just didn't pop off to me. Like he didn't like look like this player that like, wow, this kid's got a future as a featured back in the NFL. Maybe he will. I don't know, but it didn't see it last season. So Houston's another place that I could see him potentially landing where he would be a fit and have a significant amount of fantasy value. I don't know if you look at the top, say, 8 teams in round 2, maybe somebody would have to move up to potentially draft this kid? Because I don't see a team with a need, unless you want to say, well, Arizona at 34, because James Conner is going to be gone and we don't really love Trey Benson. Okay, that's another spot where I think Jadarian Price could end up having some fantasy value. But again, I don't know that he's going to be like a 3-down back in year one, unless injuries occur.
What about a team like Tennessee that's drafting at the top of round 2? Like, to me, I look at Price as like a between the tackle. I don't want to say grinder because that makes it sound like he's a slow player, but like I think it was Lance Zierlein of NFL.com that compared him to Javonte Williams, and I can see that a lot. Like somebody who's just really good between the tackles, that gets the physical yards, and maybe with someone like Cam Ward, that's exactly what you need.
Here's the thing, and I actually like that fit long term, but Tajay Spears is a good player. Pollard's still under contract. That would be a long-term play in fantasy. And of course, in Dynasty, we're looking long-term as well.
Do you think Pollard comes back? Because I think there's been a lot of speculation that he could be traded or moved.
I mean, he's on the roster right now. I mean, I don't know. But they need wide receiver help way more than they need a running back.
I think this is assuming they draft a receiver like in round 1.
Well, so you think that they're going to take who? Carnell Tate?
It's possible.
At 4? I mean, they only have one pick in round 1, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying you could take Carnell Tate at 4 and
that's definitely possible.
Supercharge your offense.
They have so many needs; it's insane.
I know, but it's the same thing we talked about on our earlier show on Thursday, where like with Tyler Shuck and the Saints, you've got to do everything possible to surround him with weapons. The same needs to be true for Cam Ward, who, I mean, is there a team that has less skill weapons than the Tennessee Titans right now?
I mean, they're near the top of that list in terms of being devoid of talent. There's no doubt about it.
All right, that is it for today's show. We'd like to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty Football your first listen every single day. Go download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We are free and available on all platforms. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Dynasty ad-free, plus members-only Discord access, and so much more. Head over to lockedondynasty.supercast.com to join the club. And for those of you on video, we can send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. And on audio, make your second listen the Locked On NFL Draft podcast. Follow Fabs on Twitter at Michael_Fabiano. I'm at Marcus_Mosher, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.